Today's video, we're going to be showing you how to make bookmarks with glitter. We're just working with glitter, and of course we'll be working with the vinyl for the names, but glitter and vinyl is what we'll be working on today to make these bookmarks. So these are some of my glitter bookmarks. Glitter, and of course some names added on there. I don't know if you can tell, the name is on the inside. So obviously there is no limit to what you can do. It's just how much glitter you actually have. So to start, this is the mold that I will be using. I got this mold I ordered it off of Amazon. Okay, so basically I already have my epoxy mixed. Now for this one, what I'd like to do, because I really enjoyed the way this one came out, it's just chock full of glitter, and I think that looks pretty awesome. I think that's what we're going to go for today. So to do that, because I am going to mix glitter in my epoxy, I'm going to separate this because I need some of this to show you my next piece. So let's do this. Okay. You don't need a lot of epoxy. I can't exactly tell you how much because I haven't measured it out yet. I just kind of eyeball it, but you don't want to fill it up all the way because you still have to put another layer on, and you don't want your bookmarks to be too thick. You want them to be bookmark-ish. Obviously they'll be thicker than paper, but they're not supposed to be super thick. So I think that I like pink. So I'm going to go with this very super fine pink. And then I just kind of take the pink and I throw it in here. That's kind of a lot, but that's okay. I stir it in. And that is going to be a lot of pink. Clearly I can kind of tell that since there's so much pink in there, I'm going to need a little bit more epoxy. So I'm just going to put a little bit more in there. There you go. And if I have to put some more once I've put this in there, I can. It's fine. So mix it up nice and good. And then I take my bookmark and I just slowly, I like to start just getting around the hole. And I like to do this when I have the glitter because it's easier to see that you've got, when I have glitter in the epoxy, it's easier to see when I squeeze it into the corners that I can kind of tell that it's going into the corners. When you are doing just clear glitter, when you are doing just clear epoxy, you can see pretty well that it's going in where it's supposed to. But when you're doing colors, you can't really tell that it makes it into the corners, which is why I like to make sure I see it get in there. Then the rest of it doesn't really matter because we are going to use our heat gun to spread it out, and that will also help. So you just scrape obviously as much of this epoxy as you can because you don't want to waste any. Don't want to cover up what I'm doing so you can see. Put it in here. Then you can just kind of move it around, make sure it goes in the edges. This can cause bubbles, so that's why I run the little edge of the spoon around the edge to kill bubbles. I say kill, and that's terrible. To pop the bubbles. And then I also use my embossing gun to get anything else that might need to, that I couldn't see. as you can see, it's pretty thick and it's pretty solid. It's a pretty solid color. You put all that glitter in and it made it pretty solid. So I just make sure it's as evened out as I can. And then I'm going to hit it with the heat gun just to kill any, to pop any of the bubbles. You don't want to do it too close and you don't want to do it too long because it will splash the epoxy out of the edges, and I just like to just run it one more time just since it's a little bit hot now to get any of those bubbles. So that is step one. What happens now is that this stays in the mold for about I say 24 hours, but really just till tomorrow. It doesn't even matter what time you're doing this tonight unless it's midnight. Whatever, you know, till the next morning is what I like to do. Or if you did it in the mornings, really by 5 or 6 in the afternoon, it's hard enough for you to take out to do step 2. So we're going to let this one alone and we're going to work on this one. This one is one that I did the other day. You can see kind of how thin it is. And it's still really bendy and really fragile, but that's okay. This one I let sit, and now what I'm going to do is mix it, put our vinyl on and put the last layer of epoxy. Okay, since my other spoon is all mixed in the pink, I got another little stir, and I'm going to do this. So here is this is probably upside down to you guys, so let me just do it this way. Wouldn't that make sense? All right, here we go. Here's the name, and basically it's already on the transfer. This was a vinyl, and I think I mentioned this is not permanent. It's the removable, but it doesn't matter because once you put the next layer of epoxy on there, you'll be fine. And as you can see, I totally made this one a little bit too long, so I'm just going to then have to give it a little bit of an angle here, which is okay. This is the beautiful thing about here. You just kind of improvise. I'm gonna have to make sure that C doesn't, well, you know what? The rest of this can go down because that C is not stuck on there. So I can pull all of this off. Whoops, don't forget that dot. Okay, and then I can still take this C, give it a little bit of a twist, but still make sure that it's going to stay. There we go. So a little problem to solve, and that worked out. That's the beauty of all of the letters not being connected. There we go. I love it. It's beautiful. This is for my sister. She loves red. It's going to be great. So next is to put another layer of epoxy on here. So again, I'm going to mix, but since I have some extra epoxy here that we don't need a lot for this layer either. I'm going to separate it onto this cup. And I'm just going to put the tiniest bit of white glitter to give it a little bit of some sparkle, just the tiniest little drop of it. Okay, and then I'm going to put a tiny other little bit of red just to give it a little bit more, not a lot, just a tiny little. Now be careful because obviously I don't have a shaker. There we go, that's good. So I guess you guys see that there. Then we just epoxy, I'm just stirring it up. This is just to cover this top part so that the vinyl doesn't go anywhere. So I'm going to take my little and pour it on there. I'm going to go all the way to the edge What I forgot to mention is that I put the epoxy on the bottom of the bookmark. So basically the other side is the top because the other side is the smooth edge. And so when you take it out of the mold, there is a little lip. You'll feel it. There's a little lip on the edge there. And that's where, this is the side I put the epoxy on because that little lip helps it not fall over the edge. It kind of keeps it, holds it, kind of like a little cup for this little extra epoxy. And that's, you don't need a lot. You just want enough to cover your vinyl. So this helps keep it from overflowing. I have read and heard from other people that they like to then wait until the epoxy is just a little bit less liquidy, because that also will help it stay where it's supposed to be. And you know, whatever works for you. I don't mind working with it when it's a little bit liquidy. I'm just very careful into how much I put. Now another tip I will tell you is you want to make sure wherever you leave these that it's an even place. It's even, because I can see right here that this is a little bit thinner than over here. So wherever I left it, it definitely was not 100% even because it thinned out, which is fine because now when I pour the epoxy, it will even itself out this time, and then it'll be more even all around. So it is fixable. You just kind of have to look for it and fix it in the second half of the process. I'm going to use a little bit of this unglittered epoxy just because I feel like you could use a little more. But since it's going where there's already glitter, it's fine. You can't really tell that it's not there. And the glitter's over the words, which is what I pretty much wanted, even though I can see right here there's a little gap. I like to run a flashlight over it just to see if there's any spots where I missed some epoxy. I also get really close in there because I'm a little bit blind, but I won't do that now because you'll see my head in the camera. You don't need to see that, so I won't do that. But I'm looking over it. It looks pretty good. What I like to do now is take the heat gun, just spray to pop any of the bubbles that might be around. That's it, and that also helps spread the epoxy. Make sure that everything is nice and even. And then I let it dry, and then it's ready. Then I will sometimes, if the edge is not really, if there's still a little bit of a noticeable edge, I will take a file and file it down just a little bit, just to make it a little bit smoother. But basically, after another 12 hours or so, it's dried. It's nice and thin, like this one is here. I don't know if you can see that. And it's ready to put a tassel on. These tassels, I got them at Amazon, ordered them off of Amazon, and they're ready to go. And again, this is thin, but it's still got a tiny little bit of bend, but it's really nice. It's sturdy. It's not gonna just break. Okay guys, well, there it is. This is how I do my glitter bookmarks. Step 1, step 2. Hopefully this helps you guys with knowing the steps on how to do it. Obviously, there's maybe more than one way to do it, and that's okay. And if you have some other way you want to try, that is perfectly fine. This is all about being creative and, you know, just expressing yourself creatively and giving things a try. You can't go wrong. So please, if you learned anything from this video or enjoyed watching it, please share, like, and subscribe. And I plan on doing another video. There should be one already out on alcohol inks, and I plan to do another one showing you how to do mica powder bookmarks. So if you want to follow me to see how those are, I'd appreciate it. Any comments, leave them below, and I will try and answer them all. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have a super day.